Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. I am so excited today because it is the launch of the new Encouragement Challenge brought to you by CAS-ual Fridays Stamps. I'll have more about that later, but just for now, know that I'm going to be inspired by this photograph. If you saw the card I made last week here, then you know how I started making this card. I'm going to use some of the same supplies, but a totally different card. I started by pulling out my MISTI, and I'm just using a little bit of adhesive to hold it in place because this is a full background stamp and it can be hard to get the magnets to hold the cardstock. So as you can see, I lined it up with one edge on the right side of my cardstock. It's Bristol cardstock and Versamark ink. I'm just going to ink it up twice to make sure I get good coverage. Then I'm going to take some white embossing powder from WOW. I'm just going to sprinkle that over my card and heat set it to melt the embossing powder. After I do that, I'm going to flip the cardstock. It's hard to see, but that is embossed. I'm going to flip it horizontally so that I can get the part of the cardstock that didn't get stamped and embossed. So again, I'm going to use the Versamark ink. I'm going to stamp it down twice to get good coverage. I just use a chamois to clean off my stamps, almost any stamp usually. And then, like I said, I'm just putting that embossing powder on there. You can kind of see it in the light. It is a powdery looking thing, and then when you heat set it, it magically melts and turns glossy. I never get tired of this step. So I thought I had the camera on, but it wasn't, and you missed the first part, but you'll see in a second. I'm using the color palette from the inspiration photo, and I just squished some ink onto my craft sheet. This is a Ranger craft sheet. It's non-porous. And then I'm using some water to pick that ink up and just paint my page, really. It's so simple and easy, but it gives it a really soft, artistic watercolor look. After I got my first layer down, I brought my heat tool back in and I heat set it to dry it, and it really lightened up, so I brought in another layer of color. Just doing the same thing, squishing the ink into the craft mat and coloring it on. If the colors get muddy, you can wipe it up and start all over again. Layer the colors on top of each other and you create new colors. I just love this technique. It's so simple and so easy, and mostly just let the water and the ink do what it wants to do. Cleanup is a breeze. Just use a paper towel or a baby wipe and just wipe that ink right up. Off camera, I die cut this piece out using the Bubble Box Fri-Dies. I layered them together, spacing them as evenly as I could, and just cut them all out at once. I used a piece of Post-it note and some medical tape. Whatever you have that's not too sticky, just use that to hold them in place while I die cut them. While I was die cutting, I also die cut a couple of white tags. And I'm using the Aquatini ink to stamp the small butterfly from the Bee stamp set by CAS-ual Fridays Stamps. And then I'll pull in the pixie dust for the Loving Thought stamp, and I'm stamping that down in the opposite corner. Then I'll stamp my sentiment, also from Bee, in the Something Borrowed from Catherine Fuller Design. So I'm using the same ink that I used for the background to do this tag. But the background was in watercolor, and the tag is just full-on stamping the color. So it will pop against the background, but it will be cohesive because they are the same color palette. Now it's time for assembly. I'm just using some Tombow Mono Multi-Adhesive, and I'm going to adhere all of my layers, starting with the outer layer and working my way in. I like using glue instead of like a tape runner. You can use whatever you want, but the glue gives me a little more time to get things into position. And because I die cut these all at once, they just nest in there beautifully. One tip I have is to press firmly until the glue dries. It doesn't take very long, but by doing this step, it will dry flat and you'll have all of it adhered, so things don't just kind of pop up and pop off. My final step is to add some sequins. This is from Pretty Pink Posh. It's limited edition. She made it just for CAS-ual Fridays Stamps and the Calling All Sisters. So if you want to get the sequin mix, you need to hop on quickly before it sells out. And then my card is done. Hopefully you can see how I was inspired. I kind of took the round shape of the flowers from the blueberries in the picture, and of course the color palette. I just love this color palette. If you would like to play along, I will have links down below and you can go check it out. The rules and everything, it's pretty easy. We just want you to be inspired, make an encouraging card. And don't forget, if you're shopping at CAS-ual Fridays Stamps, use the code ENCOURAGE17 at checkout to save 15%. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will have a supply list down below and a link to my blog as well. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more from me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!